今オフ FA の目玉となっている大谷の去就をめぐり、最終局面を迎えているとみられる交渉について情報が錯綜しています。交渉は大詰めに入っているとみられますが、大谷と代理人は沈黙を貫いていて、その動向は明らかになっていません。そんな中、MLB ネットワークの番組 MLB Now では、メジャー13年の現役生活で通算136勝を挙げた解説者のロン・ダーリング氏が、
なぜ大谷はこれほどまでに目標を続けているのか
について議論していましたので、日本語字幕付きでご紹介していきます。
With the big guy, Shohei Ohtani, rumblings at the winter meetings that he's met with several teams over the past week. The Dodgers, the Blue Jays, teams like that. Why do you think his free agency is going so quietly, though?
Yeah, lots of rumblings, even if some of the teams didn't want any rumblings about meeting with him. Why is it going quietly? Because the player and the agent are running the show, and they've decided really that they want it. And I think when you watch the arc of Ohtani's career, he has, for the greatest superstar that we have, one of the quietest superstars that we have. Do you know anything about it? I don't know like a lot about him, only because he chooses to be that way. And I think that is the player's choice. That being said, as a fan, you'd like to know more on what's going on.
Well, I think if you're the team, at some point, yes, you're going to allow them to lead. But at some point, I think the team has to take over. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because as the team, you don't want to be held hostage. When you look at the free agent market, every team go into this offseason, and yes, you have your wish list of players in which you believe you want to sign. But let's just face it, Shohei Ohtani is only going to sign with one team, which means that there are going to be other teams that's going to be left out of this sweepstake. So at some point, you as the team has to put your best offer on the table to Ohtani and his group and give them a chance to say yes or no, and you have to be willing to walk away and go ahead and pivot if they say no, because at the end of the day, Ohtani know what team he wants to sign with.
Yeah.
His agents know what team that he wants to sign with. So if you get that offer from that team, I don't think they let that team out of the room if you give them a hard deadline. But if you allow them to just play this out as long as they want to, then they're just going to run the string as long as they can.
You know, it's interesting, listening to you speak there, it's a risky game of chicken if you decide to play that with one of the greatest players to ever wear a uniform. The issue, though, is that he's going into free agency, and he's one of the most unique unicorn kind of players, but that's not the player you're going to get. At least for the first year, right?
Because of the surgery.
Because of the surgery and the arm injury. So you're not going to get that player, which is interesting to me. And also, if you decide to base most of your payroll on Ohtani, it's almost counterintuitive to what he wants. What does he want? He wants to play on a winning team. If you pay one player $50 to $60 million, that's going to be kind of counterintuitive to additions you could make to your ball club to put that team in a winning place in the future. So I don't know. It's just it's an interesting call for a player that we've never seen before.
And that's why it gets difficult even for some teams when you look at the fact that you're going to sign him to a 10 or a 12-year deal, and now you're going to lock down your DH position for that long. So if you're an organization that already have, let's just say, aircraft carriers that at some point in their career, they're going to transition to the DH, you're going to find that those two contracts button heads at some point. So those are things that organizations have to think about as well.
Well, think about this, just in a small little bubble, okay? We consider the Dodgers are one of the teams that certainly Ohtani would like to play for. They had an unbelievable year out of J.D. Martinez as their DH. Would they want him back? Of course they would, but they can't re-sign him or get him back right now because they have to hold open that position of DH in case they're lucky enough to sign him.
We always talk about the domino effect. Do you think it's fair to all those teams that one player kind of holds up all these cards in free agency?
Well, I'm not going to use fair or foul as the terminology. I think at some point, you as a organization have to actually pull that power back. And it's not playing chicken, it's playing hardball and saying, I have to execute a plan. Yes, I would love for you to be a part of my plan. But if you decide that the money that I'm offering is not to your liking, then I need to know the answer to that. And then now I have to give my organization an opportunity to pivot, because if not, let's just say you're the Dodgers and J.D. Martinez go and sign with the Diamondbacks. And now he's off the table and you still don't get Ohtani. It's like you waited, and then people start to leave the market, and now you find yourself with an empty bag.
You know, most of the time when there's a free agent out there, some guys will wait because they want him to set the market. This is not the case with Ohtani. No one else is going to come close to that market, but he will dictate all the other moves that are made after this.
It's like buying a house, right?
Yes.
Like, kind of.
Except when you buy a house, if you get 7 out of 10 things right, it's great.
Yeah.
With Ohtani, you get 10 out of 10.
Yeah, you get the renovated kitchen, all the upgrades with Shohei Ohtani.
また、米スポーツ局 ESPN のスポーツトーク番組ザ・パット・マカフィーショーに出演したジェフ・パッサン記者は、黙秘を続ける大谷の姿勢について、
もったいないやり方だ。
と述べ、ユーモアを交えながら大谷についてコメントしていましたので、日本語字幕付きでご紹介していきます。
Jet, what about Shohei? What's going on there? What's anything new?
We're not allowed to
what
talk
does
about
it
it.
look like?
Can't talk
What
about
would you predict, Jet?
We are on Shohei watch right now because I think sometime in the next probably 96 hours or so, we're going to have a much better sense of where Shohei Ohtani is going to wind up. And look, the favorites from the beginning, AJ, have been the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is a team that every year goes out and spends $250+ million on payroll, has been over $300 million in the past, and needs a guy like that. Ohtani is familiar with Southern California, having spent the first 6 seasons of his career with the Los Angeles Angels. The interesting thing, though, is what the Toronto Blue Jays have done. The Blue Jays, out of nowhere, have made a really strong run at Ohtani. And I'm not sure if they're considered the favorites at this point because this whole thing has been under a shroud of secrecy. And, you know, Dave Roberts, the Dodgers manager, acknowledged a couple days ago that the Dodgers had met with Ohtani. And, like, pearls were being clutched everywhere because, frankly, Ohtani and his camp went to everyone before the process started and said, we don't want any leaks. We don't want this in the media. We want no acknowledgement that this historic free agency is happening right now, which I think is honestly understandable, but kind of a ridiculous conceit because baseball needs all the help and all the love it can get. And I know Shohei Ohtani provides that on the field, but just imagine if this thing had turned into not even a circus. Imagine if Ohtani showed up to a ballpark or showed up to a meeting and took a picture and put it on Instagram. There's like no responsibility for that. But you 100% would. You know, okay, where's Shohei today? He's in LA. He's in Toronto. He's in San Francisco. He's in Chicago. He's going all over the place. He's meeting with these people. You just have to have a caption that says, you know, if you're at Dodger Stadium, I would love to have a Dodger dog. Or if you're up in Toronto, like
I'm not
I love
fucking
to smoke
coming
weed
here.
with Drake.
Yeah, this place blows.
Actually, no. If you're in Toronto, it could say we got sick of Gumpy after 446 days and booted him back to the U.S.
Oh, good to see you again, Jet.
これからも大谷の活躍から目が離せません。皆様からのコメントもお待ちしております。